for in each methodology. Module we will go see what are the what do you mean by what is requirement when you see as a VA, when you come as a VA, it's very obvious that what you are going to do is gathering the requirements and giving it to your technology team, right? You will be acting as a bridge between the business client and the IT, right? So
Yes.
there we see what is requirement, how we gather requirement, how we analyze a particular requirement, right? We will learn about the requirements in that module. Once we are good with requirements, next module what we will learn is how to visualize the requirement, right? How do you model requirement? Why do we do that, right? What are the various models that a business analyst should know or will we do in our day-to-day job? How do we do that? Using visual, how do you develop a model? That we will be seeing, we will see in that module. And next module we will see what are the various techniques that we apply as a business analyst when you gather requirement, when we elicit requirement, that is gathering requirement, and when we facilitate the same requirement to the team.
Right? What is, depending on the industry, do you use different models in that way? For example, if you're doing something for banking, would that be different than if you do something for healthcare?
No, it is not with respect to domain, it's respect to the project that you are doing. If it's a project that you are getting from a scratch, that is the first project that you're getting, not the enhancement, right? We use
Yes.
few more. If it's an enhancement, we used another models. So it has nothing to do with domain, that what you are saying, right? If it's a healthcare or a banking, the model will be same, irrespective of domain, but depending on the project. As I said, if it's really from a scratch, you are developing a project, or you are developing an enhancement, as in we already have an existing product. Now we are adding requirements to that based on the feedback or from a business record requirement to enhance that particular project.
Sounds good.
Yeah. So then finally we will see the testing concept as well, because why do you need the testing concept? Because as a business analyst, you need to work on a user acceptance testing as well, right? We as a business analyst, we verify and validate, not verify, we validate the solution as well, what the team is giving, right? And also we have to work with the business during the user acceptance testing, right? Because you are the one who communicated to business as well as to the technology team or the IT team. So we have to work on the UAT with business as well as we also do a round of testing from our end. So for that we will be learning the testing concept, right?
Okay.
And finally we will see how to create the different deliverables like business requirement document, software system requirement specification, which we call as SRS, how to create a traceability matrix. All the these are the few important deliverables of the business analyst. So we will see and we will.
Excuse me, are we supposed to be on slide 2 or are we supposed to be further ahead?
Further ahead. So I'm just showing you the model 1 in my screen actually.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. So I just want to, before I start with this model, I just want to give you an overview as in what are all we are going to cover throughout the sessions.
Yes, ma'am.
And this is the one, this is the first module.
So will that mean like lesson 1 and module 2 would be lesson 2? Is that?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes, kind of. In module 1 we will see this things, as in lesson 1 you will get to know what is business analyst, says who is business analyst, what are the roles and responsibilities. In module 2 we will have same kind of thing but with other like software methodologies and all that kind of. We divide each and every sections into modules, right? Yeah. Arjun, you have anything to say? Is Arjun there?
Devi is okay, then I'm...
It says attendees 3 out of 26.
You can
Arjun, you have anything? So, I'm not getting you, Arjun.
I think Devi is okay. I'm fine. I'm fine with that. You can carry on, please.
Okay, so let me start the module 1. Alright. So, JB, in module 1, we will see more as in role of business analyst, who is business analyst, and before that we should know what is business analysis, right? So, let's start. Now, what do you understand by a business, right? When we say each and every organization that we work is running some or the other business. Now, what do you understand by business? Business is nothing but an organization or this organization which provides services, right, in order to or with an objective to profit out of it, right? That is what is business. Either I am running a service or I am selling a product, but what is my end objective? My end objective is to have some profit out of it, right? That is what we call as business, right? Now, what do you understand by business analysis? Analysis is when let me give an example, as in when, for example, like HP, Dell, Apple, they sell products, right? Now, when they are selling product, they have an objective to make a profit out of it. That is their business. But how do they sell product? Does they go randomly and sell the product just like that? No, right? Before that, they analyze those market conditions, everything, to run their business. As in, if I am selling a product, I will see what customer wants. What is exactly the customer requirement? How much the customer is willing to spend. After doing all this analysis, I will prepare or make a product and go to the market and sell it, right?
Yes.
The whole process of analyzing all this, how will I come to know what customer wants, right? Basically, I will go and try to reach out to the customer and ask their feedback, or I will see the market condition as in what is the market current trend. I will see all this analysis which we do, we call as a business analysis. Basically, we analyzing the business before we launch, or we take a step ahead to develop something, right? Keeping in mind the customer requirements or needs, right?
Yes.
That is what we do as an analysis. So this is what a business analysis is. Business is nothing but an organization which provides services or provides products, anything, in order to, with an object to make a profit out of it, this business. And while providing the services, the analysis we do is nothing but the business analysis, right? This is what is business analysis. So, as per the International Institute of Business Analysis, so for us, whatever we do, the task, all the concepts, everything we get it from IIBA, right? Which is for a business, if you are looking for a business analyst perspective, it is an ultimate or the institute which we follow. So, according to International Institute of Business Analysis, the definition of business analyst which they give is the set of tasks, knowledge and techniques required to identify business needs and determine the solution to business problem, right? So as I said, so when I am going out for a business, I will definitely look out for to identify my needs, right? When we do analysis, what we analyze, we basically see what is basically the needs of the customer or my business need. And based on the needs, we try to determine the solution, right? based on the customer needs, based on the needs of the user, I will try to develop a product, or I will try to provide a service which you want or a customer want, and give a solution to it. This whole set process we call as a business analysis.
I have a question.
Yes, tell me.
Okay, if there's like Bank of India, right? Is that is that your customer, or is it the total end user that's a customer? For example, say if in India they wanted to implement or start something new with their banking, and they want to, I'm just making up, say they want to add something to smartphones. Well, really it seems to me like Bank of India is hiring you, but to me, so they're a customer, but yet the customer that's for Bank of America, they're also a customer. So how do you distinguish between the two?
See, when Bank of America is hiring me to implement a solution or something in India, I will work for Bank of America. I will keep in mind, then when I will be working with them, my customer, when I go out to see the business need, Bank of America will not be my customer. My customer will be the end user who ultimately uses my products, right?
Ah, okay.
Yes, because I will be working for them. At the same time, I should know what is their business problem. If they have any problem, why they have come to India, why they want a solution, that will be a first knowledge gathering for me from Bank of America. But for me, when I am trying to, as you said, they want to implement something in the smartphone, right? What I have to do in India, I have to first see, okay, I will try to reach out and say, oh, if I am doing in the smartphone, how many users will be doing it? Do users really want that? How is the market trend going on? So my set of research or the customer, when I will be giving a solution or determining the business needs, will not be Bank of America. It will be for my customer, which is the end user here.
Okay.
Ultimately, the user who will be using that application, right?
Right. So the Bank of India president or whoever actually hires you, he's just labeled as a stakeholder.
Yes, he will be.
Okay. All right. Okay.
Yeah, he's
That
my
makes sense.
business sponsor.
Okay. Business sponsor. Okay.
He is my sponsor. He is sponsoring the project which we are going to develop. Yeah, as you said, he will be a stakeholder for me. That's it.
Okay. Thank you for clarifying that.
And that in business, as we said, we identify the business need and determine the solution. When I say solution, if we are taking it to the current IT industry, it might be a development component, it might be process improvement or organization change as well. But if you are going to IT or software industry, mostly, as I said, it will be your software development, right? That you will be giving a solution with the business problem. So that is how we analyze a business and come to the solution, right? That is what the business analysis is. Going next, once if we are clear, are you clear with what is business analysis? Then we can go ahead and see who is business analyst.
Thank you.
Now, since we know what is business analysis, and now we should know who is business analyst, right? We keep on hearing business analyst. What is business analyst? Business analyst does this set of requirements they do. The person who does all the analysis is a business analyst. Starting from identifying the business needs to determine the solution is your business analyst. So the business analyst is someone who does a set of tasks starting from identifying the business needs, starting to know the business objective based on the business problem, and determine a solution, right?
Yes.
So that person is known as a business analyst. So the business analyst assess the business model and their integration with technology, right? Once we know what is the business about, why they, as you said, right, when a Bank of America comes and hires me, my first thing which I should know is what is their objective, what is their business. Then only I should go and reach out to the customer, right? Unless until I know my organization goals, how I will go. I cannot go to a random people and say, hey, I just want these things to get implemented. What is your feedback? What is the trend? No. First, I should know what my organization wants. What is my organization goal, right? Then only I should go and assess that. Once I get my business model, then only I should integrate with the technology. It's nothing but when I give a solution. So, as a business analyst, we are responsible for identifying the change needs, right? Assessing the impact of the change. If I'm doing a change, what is the impact that is going to happen, right? Capturing and documenting the requirements. What are the various requirements of the that is there for business requirements that the business has? What are the specific requirements? Capture that requirement, sit with the business, get your requirement clarified, documenting the requirements, right? And then ensuring that those requirements are delivered while supporting the business through the implementation process.
I'm sorry. So if they're going to, so they've already have something in place and they want to make changes to it. So my question is, when you're assessing how that's going to affect something else, are you going into the detail of all the IT, or is it not at that level? I'm trying to figure out if, you know, like if I don't know IT enough, but if, say, for instance, if you're going to, I don't know, change something on the intranet, it could affect how something is ordered, or I'm just trying to understand how deep you would go into the IT area, or how much I would have to know, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
So I don't know enough to articulate it well. I'm sorry.
No problem. So if there is any change, if you see that there needs to be any change in the existing product in which we already have it in place, and there is going to be change, means there is coming either there will be new requirement added, or there is a change in the existing requirement, right? So before you implement that, you should be you should know your application well before you do any changes. For example, say for example there is an application wherein you have a login screen, right? Now, if a user comes, if a business comes in and asks you, hey, I want this, the format of username needs to be changed, right?
Yes.
Now, you cannot go ahead and do a simple change in one day and say, hey, it can be done. You just go to your development team and say, hey, can I change the format to this from this, right?
Okay.
But with that, you should know if I'm changing the particular format, how will user take it, right? People will not know if you're changing the format of a username suddenly. You should see how many users want that, right? You should ask the business why you have come up for the change request. Is by all the user, if your application, for example, is globally used, which all other region that we should change for? Is it for a region specific or a globally, right? Because you never know what are the user expectation, right? They are used to that. You should ask this question before you do a change, right? And suddenly you say they have asked that they have done changes. Before you do changes, you should make sure that your application code does not break anywhere. Your current application should be stable enough to handle that change, right? I have made a change, but after I'm making change, I can't enter only the username. What is the use of that change? That is a loss in your that is a loss for both for the IT. You are not only in the time, but in the cost also you are facing the loss, right?
What is an example of what you just said? I'm trying to remember the terms that you said. It could break the code. I guess that's what I was trying to ask before. Is that something that IT knows, or is that something that as an analyst I'll learn in the future about?
Yeah, you will also learn the same thing. You should ask this question. See, we as a business analyst should ask the right questions every time, right? So when you're going, once you get a request from the business, what I will go, if they ask you to change the format of the username, obviously we as an analyst cannot do it, right? We have to go to IT, wherein the development team will be doing the change for you. Now, before doing the change, you should make sure you should not give an approval to do the change right away since business has come to us. No. What we will do, we will go them. You should ask, this is the change. What is the impact? Is it going to impact any of your existing code, right? How much effort you have needed, right? From the question which we asked just now is to your business, that I cannot go and change it because is it a user specific or some region wanted. If any request come from a particular region, then we will be changing the format only for the user who is from that particular region. If not, globally, yes, we can change it just like that, right? Now, next thing, we have to go to the IT. Once we are done with the clarification from the business, you should go to IT and say, hey, I need to change the format of this. What is the impact? Is it something that it can be done easily? Is it a simple change, or it is going to be a code change, right? There are some things that they can do it easily by changing the length of the field in the database, or you need to rewrite the code. If you have to rewrite the code, we need to make sure a whole round of testing needs to be done in order to ensure my existing functionality works, right?
Mm-hmm.
If it is not a simple change, what are the impact? Is there any impact on the other component if you are changing it here, right? So these are the questions that we should ask in order to assess the impact of the change, right? Because from the code perspective, you as an analyst will not know it, right? We don't code, we see the solution. So these are the questions that we have to ask to IT developers in order to find if there is any impact. If they say no, there only an impact, it is only a simple format change, we can do it easily. You are okay to go ahead with the change. If they say no, if I'm changing it here, that can be that will be impacting in the other component of our solution. Here also we have to change in order to have this change. We are going to need a testing. So all this assessment, right? For this change, we need to go to testing. For testing, it requires this many hours. For changing, it requires this many hours. These are all that what I am doing a change, impact of change, right? How many hours I need, what are the effort I need in order to make sure that my existing functionality is working correctly. Right? These are the impact of a particular change request when it comes to your existing functionality, right? Or if a new requirement comes, we will also be assessing those same kind of things before we go ahead and do the change. Right? Because we as a business analyst, if it's an existing product, we should make sure that the existing product should not stop working, or if we made any changes in the application, we should make sure the existing application works well.
Yes.
Right? Suddenly we cannot go and change a code just like that if any request from anyone comes. Right? Before that, you have to analyze all these things before you take a step ahead and give your approval as well. Right? So then we have to go and ask question to the different stakeholder. Yes, the question will be different to different stakeholder. So that's how we do the assessment of a change. Right? So that's how we do. So we as a business analyst always, in order to identify a business need, what we do, we try to find out a fact out of it. In order to find the fact, we keep on asking questions, right? What is that you need? Why do you need that? When we start or when we get anything, any project, the first question that we should ask, why you came here, what is your business objective? As I asked you, Debbie, when you joined the class, are you looking, if I have, since you have taken the course for business analyst, I should ask, why are you looking for this course? Are you going to join the business? Are you new to this domain? Or are you already working in business analyst domain? That, or you are in, so just that you want to enhance your skill, right? These are the few questions that we ask you, right? So in order to find the fact why you have come for this, that there are few things which we need to ask questions to find out the fact, right? So it's all about asking the right questions. Why, what? These are the things which emphasize on in order to get the answers for us. What is the business need? Why do you want to have if they come and ask you for a project, we don't just start working on that, right? We just really don't jump into gathering requirement from the day one itself. First, we will try to understand what is the objective behind that proposal that came to us. What is the organization goals that the current company or your client has? What is the business need? Based on what is the objective that they are trying to see or they are trying to achieve? And finally, then we go to our solution that we have to come and suggest them. But these are before we go and jump and give them the solution, right? But we make sure that we know, we ask these questions. We know these questions. We analyze those things. Business, their business needs, their business objectives, right? So that is what, that is the person who does all these things is the business analyst. So basically what we do, we identify change, we identify business needs, we provide a solution, right? We capture how we provide solution before we go for the solution. We capture requirements, we document the requirements, we communicate the requirement to the different teams, IT teams, in order to get our solution developed. We validate solutions and we deliver to our clients, right? These are all set of tasks that we as a business analyst does in the current industry. You have any question, Debbie?
No. Can you hear me?
Yes, yes.
Okay, because there's a...
Oh, hello?
It says the audio was not connected. Anyway, okay, anyway.
I saw you going offline. I think now it's fine, I guess. Yeah. So, moving next, we will see why we need a business analyst, right? Why do we need a business analyst? We can run without business analyst as well, right? Why this business analyst? How does business analyst evolve into organization? Now, if you can see my screen, if I will first I want to show you a case wherein what will happen what happens if there is no business analyst in place, right? Now, when a client comes to your organization, when we don't have business analysts, what they will do, they will directly interact with your project lead or developer, right? So, for example, when a client comes, for example, if I'm a client, if I'm going to you and I will say, hey, Debbie, I need a basket or a box to keep things and take it out, right? That is all in my mind. So, but if you are a developer, you'll think, okay, Debbie, okay, you'll say, oh, you want a box? It's very simple. I will give it to you. But you didn't ask me, why do I need the box? Why? What is the main objective of taking a box from you, right? So you will say, if you see here, they're thinking, okay, a simple box only he wants, right? after the development and the development of the product, how it comes is a simple box wherein you can just put the things inside. You can't take it outside. So when you develop and give that product to your client, if the client, what he was thinking, if you see what the client was thinking, what the developer was thinking, and finally the product developed is all different, right?
Yeah, because you didn't ask about what material or size or anything like that.
True, correct. They didn't ask any that kind of specific question before going to develop that. As a result, what happened? When you give an incomplete product or a product which the client does not want or it's not up to the expectation, first thing your client is will not be happy, right? As a result of what, again he will come and say, hey, I don't want this, I want this, do this again. So it will result in your rework. Why? Because there is a poor requirement. There is nothing, nobody emphasizes on what exactly your client wants. As a result of what, since it's a rework, your cost will increase, right? The number of times you will develop, you will be your client. Here we need more because we need this thing. You never know what material they have provided. It might have highly priced material that the developer has developed with. Cost as a result will increase. Since it's a rework, again, the time will also increase. Since it's a lack of knowledge, right, everything will be, that these are the few things which will come into picture if there is not a clear and concise requirement, right? So these are the various impact that it is going to have, the rework, requirement, and cost, time, and knowledge. So, and at the end of the day, what you are doing, you are losing a client for your company, right? If your client is irritated and not getting a right product or the right service that the client want or have an expectation, he is not happy at the end of the day, as a result of which your company will not be able to make a profit out of it, right?
Yes.
So next thing, so if you see here, when a business analyst comes into picture, now we will see the same scenario with a business analyst into picture. If you see, when a client comes to your organization, if there is a business analyst, we'll go and meet the client. First thing, we will ask question. At the same time, we will document the need as well, right? So you have a proper documentation in place. You have a proper requirement in place, right? We will ask the client, why do you want that basket? Do you want to keep the things only, or you want to take it out at the same time? Do you want to have it covered and have two empty places from where you can take out the things out and you can keep it, right? What is the kind of material you are looking for? These are the few questions that the business analyst will be asking to your business client. Once we are good with our questions, means once we get the expectation of the client, what he is looking for, what exactly he wants from his thing, what business analyst will do, he will try to gather the requirement, document it in place, and sit with the developer, communicate the requirements properly. Right? If you are saying, if you are communicating the requirements properly, the developer or the IT team who will be developing the solution will have a clear idea, okay, these are the few requirements, these are the few things that I need to have in my product which I am developing. Once it is developed and we present it to the client, if you see here, this is the product, when you give it to the client and say, you will have both the options, both to insert the thing and to take the things out of the box, right? And the material you have given is very much cost effective. It costs, say for example, this much dollars for you. So when you give the product to the client, he is more than happy because you provided him the correct product. At the same time, you have given a cost effective solution to him as well. When I say cost-effective solution, it should be both to the client as well as us. So at the end of the day, he is happy. If he is happy, at the end your organization is going to make a profit out of it, right? So if a business analyst is in place, it reduced rework. Why it reduced rework? Because we have a clear and concise requirement in place. We know exactly what we need to develop. We gave a cost-effective solution, right? We took a less time. Why we took less time? Because we have all the documentation in place. We know what are the areas, what are the requirements we need to develop. As a result, it took less time compared to the previous one, because since we don't know the requirement, again the rework came, right? So with the knowledge of the business analyst, also we as a business analyst provide input also, right, while developing a solution. So at the end of the day, we provide a good solution which make our client happy, and then at the end of the day, as a result of which your organization will also be in a profit, right, if your client is happy.
I have two questions.
Yes.
On the cloud, the second one down, reduce churn. What exactly does that mean?
That is, if your requirement is poor, right, what will happen? Requirement churn will happen. Again, you will go and ask for the requirement, why you are doing, what is the thing that we have to develop, why we did. So all that you have reduced. Right?
Okay, because to me that was similar to rework. Like you'd have to go back and ask the same questions. The other thing is, when you are assessing and you're talking to the stakeholder and you're saying, or the customer, and saying exactly what do you want, do they often miss features? Is that part of your job as an analyst to say, well, have you thought about this feature? Would you like this? Or do you strictly go by what they say?
No, we should not. See, there might be n number of things that your client want, but you as an analyst should be able to find out whether that particular out of 100 feature, if they come up with 100 feature, do you think that we should take all the 100? No, we will not take unless and until they are absolutely required in the project. We as a business analyst analyze those things, right? Analyze those requirements. If we think that the 10th feature is not absolutely critical, or it does not make any sense to develop it, right? We can always go to the client and say, hey, we don't find it as critical, or it does not make sense to us to develop this, and you should have a justification as in why you are saying there is no need, or does not make sense to develop it, right? Because if they think, and if you think that it does not make any sense, you should have a proper justification. You should convince them saying that, hey, we don't need it. It is not necessary. I don't think this feature is needed, right? And you can cut down the feature as well if you think. If your client, you go to them, it's not always that whatever they come up with, we should what do you say, accept all the things. That is that we analyze, right?
So is that where you're doing like calculations in Excel, and you're going to explain to them, if you add this feature, it's not really necessary and it's going to cost X amount of money per item, or I mean, is that what you do, a lot of Excel formulas, or?
No, not much Excel, Devi. At the first place, because when they come up with the features, what we do, we analyze whether from an application perspective it is necessary or not. If it is not necessary, then we will see anyway when we have it, the effort also we have to tell them, yes, it will require n number of hours for a developers, right? They will make sure that then not exactly the formula, just that the justification from an application point of view, you have to say that why you don't want that. Does it, from an application point of view, do you really need this feature? Because I don't see that much usable feature it is.
Okay.
Then you will, next one you'll emphasize is, if you need this at all, since it is not usable, you being a client, you have to pay this amount of money to the developer, to the tester, and you will be billable for that. Why we are going for that? At the same time, we are wasting our efforts, time and cost also, when we don't have that feature as well. We don't need that absolute necessary feature. If it's not absolute necessary, why we have to give money for that particular features? Then only you can say. But first point should be from your application perspective also you have to see, right?
Yes.
Yeah. So that way. So it's not always that whatever they come up with, we should accept it. We should analyze, then only we should accept it, right? If they also have to convince you also, right? If I come and say, hey, I need a website to be developed, then you should ask me why you want that. Do you really need a website? That kind of question we should always go and ask. Why? Mainly emphasis on why, right? So if you are convinced that, okay, that website for her is absolute necessity, then you will go and see the other features that you should have it in the website. So that way we start the conversation. Once that project is done, then once it goes to the end user, then only we see how much benefit that we have taken for that particular project. If we have invested, for example, $100 and we are getting a benefit, we are gaining a profit of $200 per month, that means we have made a profit of $100 by building that particular project. So that way we calculate, and from the next release onwards we see, okay, how much we can negotiate, how much we can cut down the feature or which feature is necessary. But yes, from if the project is really from a scratch, first time project comes up, that time only application perspective you have to say first if you don't want any feature to be there, right?
Yes.
So that is why we need a business analyst, right? Why do you need a business analyst? I just wanted to show a case to you, to put a case in front of you, to show the necessity of business analyst. Without business analyst, what happens? With business analyst, what happens? Now, what are the roles that business analysts have? What are the roles of business analyst? Business analyst does lot of multitasking, right? What we do, we have different stakeholders in the project. Starting from your project sponsor, who is nothing but your business sponsor, as I said to you, right? If you are hiring, if your client is hiring, he or that particular organization is your project sponsor, business sponsor. Then software developer is one of your stakeholder, testing team is one of your stakeholder, business users are one of the stakeholder, project manager is one of the stakeholder. Other stakeholders are not, whom we call other stakeholders are like application support stakeholder, technical support stakeholder. Those are different stakeholders in the project. So what we do, we go to business sponsor, right, to understand the business requirement. What is the business objective? What is the business problem? What is the business requirement that your project sponsor or so-called client will give you? Next, we go to business user. Why we go to business user? Because they will be using, what are the user requirement, right? If I'm building, for example, let's say I come to you and say, hey, I need an online shopping website, right? Then you will ask me why you need an online shopping website. Then I will say, I can't say just like that, out of one I like that I want to have an online shopping website, right? I want an online shopping because I want to give the user a facility to shop online directly instead of coming to my shop and do it. Then I will ask, oh, you also have a shop. Why do you want that? Then that will be an answer to your question. Okay, that person or that organization wants the user to do a online shopping instead of coming. Then I will say, why do you really want that? Then I might say, actually my company, I can see my competitor who is running another shop they already have, and they are gaining a profit which right now I'm a little bit running, I'm not doing that as much as profit which I expected. Then we are good, we know that these are the business requirements. Then we go to users, business user, they will have a user we will ask them, what are the things that do you really want, you're looking in a website, or what we do look as a user look into the website. We get and gather the user requirement from them. Once we get the business and the user requirements, now we are good with the requirements. When we gather the requirements, capture requirements, document requirement, what we will do, we will go to the IT team. Now, before we go to IT team, we have to convert the business requirement into system requirements. If I go to the developer and say, hey, I want an online shopping cart to increase my profit, they will not understand that part only, right? We have to make sure we communicate the requirement in the language they understand. Then we have to say, I want a website which, if a user browses that website, application should load. This will be the first page. There will be login and the login username and the password. There will be a button. On clicking on the button, user should be navigated to the next page. In the next page, there will be a catalog. There, the user should be able to browse the product, should be able to search the product. This many products should be there. These kind of requirements we have to give it to the IT, which we call as a functional requirements, right? And non-functional requirements, like my page should be loaded in 2 seconds after I navigate from one page to another. Once I search product, my product list should be displayed in the screen within 1 second or 2 seconds, right? The performance requirement basically we call as non-functional requirements. These requirements we have to give it to the developers, the IT basically, in order to get my solution developed, right? Next thing is, once my solution is developed, who is going to verify? That is a testing team, right? What is the role of the tester is, they verify, they test the solution basically. They see whether your application is good enough, stable, that everything it is going to handle. They will act as an end user and try to operate on your application and see if it is functioning correctly. Right?
What's the difference between a testing or a tester and quality assurance?
Quality assurance, it depends on your company. Quality assurance in our company, it's a testing and the quality assurance, they call it same.
Okay.
In some of the companies, they will specifically call software tester and quality assurance to a team which do a process improvement, as what you said. You did some Six Sigma course where you do process improvement, right?
Yes.
That team who does that, in some of the organization, they will call them also as a quality assurance, right? So when for an example, so that's why in my company which I am working, we call testing team as a quality assurance team. Wherein in other organization, they call testing as a software tester, testing analyst, testing engineers, and quality assurance who does the process improvement, audit the process, give the process improvement. So it is not always saying that quality assurance is the tester always. It again depends on the company how they call them up with. So software tester who does verify the application whether from the functional point of view it is working correctly. If I do any other operations, whether it is able to handle all the things. Next is the project manager. Once you gather requirements, once you gather everything, what our project managers, you have to report to project manager as well, stating, hey, these are the requirements, this many number of requirements needs to be developed, and this is the solution it is going to be developed. What will be his role is, project manager role will be based on your requirements. He will be reaching out to the various stakeholder for the efforts of what is the hours of development that needed to develop the solution, what is the hour effort in hours for testing required to test that particular application. So based on my scope, whatever I will say, hey, these are the scope of the project, based on the effort, he will make a project, right? As a project manager schedule for the project. This is your development phase, then it is a testing phase, then it is a UAT, then we will deploy the project in that much time. So what is my role to the project manager? I have to update on the scope and the status where I am with my requirements. Right? What is the status of the project currently? So this is another stakeholder.
But excuse me, but you're actually the one that originally tells the project manager what duration the project will take, or is that something the project manager determines?
It can be a project manager determining, but I have to be there with the project manager when it is determining, when we get the output of hours estimation, right? When basically estimation typically should be done by the project manager. Yes, in some industry, business analyst also does that, but typically the role of the project manager is to estimate, get the estimation done, and do the project planning.
Okay.
And when I say it's more on the dates, basically the schedule, how project is going to go from planning phase to deployment phase. Starting envisioning phase, planning phase, estimation, when the project manager reach out to developer saying, okay, now you got your requirements, you give me your hours of estimation. So for example, there is one requirement, how much hour it will be for you to get it developed, right? To code it and get it developed. He might say it needs 40 hours. Then he will go to testing team and say, what is your hours of estimation for that? It will get 30 hours. Then if project manager asks me, do you really think that that particular requirement does really need 40 hours? Then I will say, from my perspective, this is this much only. What do you think? Then that kind of negotiation happens. But we as a reviewer will be there, but the main stuff will be handled by the project manager.
Okay.
Yeah. But if you are doing multitasking as in PM, VA, there are various organizations where project manager and business analyst is a one person, which we call as technical PM or the BA PM, right? Then in that case, it is only you who is going to schedule and call everything. But in case you have a specific person as a business analyst, specific person as a project manager, typically the project manager should do the scheduling and get the estimations. I will be the person who will be assisting him with the estimations and all. You got it?
Yes, ma'am.
Any question?
I don't think so. You're very good at explaining.
No problem. So probably Arjun is there, so I think I have to run in some time. So probably Debbie, right? So I think we should finish it up today. So again tomorrow at the same time, shall we meet?
Yes. What time did you end up calling me? Was it 8:30? 8:30 my.
Yes.
You are in Eastern time, or what is right now?
It's 9:30 right now.
This is
8:30 p.m. right?
Yeah.
Yeah, Arjun.
Same
I
time.
think Arjun is speaking.
We are same time, Sudipta. It's Eastern.
Oh. Okay.
Right,
okay.
right. So I didn't know, because I wasn't looking at my email when you called. I mean, to know what time we started. So we started like at 8:30. So tomorrow you want me to be on the computer at 8:30?
Yes. Yes, baby. Sudipta,
Okay.
do you have what about like your evening? Do you have time? What time you will be back?
Evening.
Like
Arjun, I don't want to commit because every time I will get late, right? So it's better to have it in my morning so that I can give this particular time. Give me 1 week of time, Arjun. I will give you that thing. Because right now, at the time, I generally come back by 9 o'clock in my time. If I have calls, I even extend that.
okay.
So
Okay.
means 9 p.m. our time, right? After that, it is not possible to do so. Probably in the next week, as I told you, I had a discussion with you, right? Next week, if my timing change, then I can do it in the evening. That I will communicate to you.
Sure, sure. That's fine. No problem. And do you like to give some homework or something to study, Devi?
Homework, probably.
I mean, I don't, maybe this time there's not, but maybe the next time. I don't, I just would like it because I want to get as good as I can.
Yeah.
Also, this is recorded, but how would I listen to it again?